Good morning, everyone. We stand at a very pivotal moment where finance and technology are converging to reshape our world. This powerful combination holds immense promise for innovation, inclusion, and resilience. Welcome to the sixth edition of the world's largest fintech festival. This is Global Fintech Fest. This event is a testament to a collective commitment to building a financial future which is inclusive, responsible, and resilient. Thanking our partners today, the Payments Council of India, the National Payments Corporation of India, and the Fintech Convergence Council for their tireless efforts in organizing this conference. Our gratitude also extends to the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Department of Financial Services, Ministry of Finance, Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance, NEST Division, Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, NITI Aayog, UIDAI, DPIIT, Startup India, Reserve Bank of India, Securities and Exchange Board of India, and Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, International Financial Services Centers Authority, and of course, for their invaluable support. We would also like to thank our partners, organized by PCI, NPCI, FCC, co-powered by Google Pay, co-powered by PhonePe, technology partner Perfios, brought to you by HDFC, brought to you by State Bank of India, brought to you by Punjab National Bank, brought to you by Bank of Baroda, Amazon Pay, associate partners, Razorpay, associate partners, Paytm, associate partners, Visa, consent partners, NeoCred, payment enabler, Lyra Network. This year, we come together with a powerful name and a theme, which is empowering finance for a better world powered by AI. Well, this is the core that reflects how artificial intelligence, when combined with human insight, can truly reshape the future of finance. Without further ado, have you explored the GFF GPT feature on the app? If you want to ask questions, then that's the best app which you can go to. So you can open the Global Fintech Fest app and go to the Agenda tab, select the session you are attending, scroll down and tap on the live Q&A button and type in your question, and it'll reach the moderator directly. We encourage you to participate. Your question could be the next one answered on stage. Please keep your questions respectful and free of any inappropriate and offensive language to ensure a positive and engaging experience for everyone. All right. The first session is about to begin. So it's Insight Fusion, building the future of fintech with survey and industry data. So I'm very, very delighted to welcome our esteemed panelists on stage. May I please request them to come one by one and take the seat? Well, it's Mr. M.S. Subramanya Rao, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a big round of applause. Mr. Soumya Chakraborty, Deputy Director General, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India. Mr. K. Balachandran, CEO and co-founder, IRIS. Mr. Rakesh Dosi, Chief Business Officer, Protean e-Gov. And we are waiting for the final speaker to come. That's Ms. Beni Chugh, Practice Head, Future of Finance Initiative, Dvara Research. All right. Thank you so much for joining, and I think we can start the session.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. Since we are in Mumbai parlance, this is the first day, first show. Let us outline the framework for this session. This is a very important session. This is an outreach from the Government of India to the industry, fintech industry. And we have totally 45 minutes, right? And in this panel discussion will be around 30 to 35 minutes, and then 10 minutes for the questions, question and answers. so that the audience may please note down your questions, and at the end of the discussion, we will take those questions. Thank you. We have a vibrant panel from the industry who are both practitioners and also from the government. We, the creators of the data, both the industry and the government create the data. We want how both of them come together for better devising the products for the fintech industry. Thank you. The broad theme of today's session is that fintech thrives on data. Innovation is strongest when official statistics and industry intelligence work together in hand. This session will explore how large-scale surveys, such as those conducted by the government, nationals, which complement the market data to generate deeper insights into the consumer behavior and for development of the financial products. By bridging these two gaps, these two ecosystems, fintechs, policymakers, and researchers can build more resilient models, design more inclusive products, and chart a roadmap for evidence-based growth, financial growth. Now, before start of the session, I just want to understand from the audience, how many of you know about the various surveys conducted by National Statistics Office? You can raise your hand. Okay, so this is the perfect place for us to reach out to each one of you, so that to create an awareness about the various products, various surveys that the National Statistics Office conducts, and which will help each one of you to do your business in a better way. I will introduce my panelists. We have an elite panel from the industry. To start with, Mr. K. Balachandran is the co-founder and Chief Financial Officer, IRIS, where he also heads the consulting, research and information practice with prior experience at CRISIL and Tata Economic Consultancy Services. He brings deep expertise in financial analytics and the evolution of India's digital insurance landscape. He is an alumni of IIM Bangalore. Next, Mr. Rakesh Dosi, Executive Vice President and Chief Business Officer at Protean e-Technologies, with over 2 decades of experience in the BFSI technology space. He drives Protean's domestic business portfolio using next generation technologies to expand India's digital public infrastructure. He is an alumni of IIM Calcutta. Next, Mr. Soumya Chakraborty is a Deputy Director General. He is an Indian Statistical Officer with 26 years of experience. He has been conducting enterprise surveys, his annual survey of unincorporated sector, annual survey of industries, and also annual survey of service sector enterprises. And in fact, he was instrumental in bringing out the quarterly bulletin on unincorporated sector, and which is the India's first high-frequency information on informal sector. We will start the session now, and we have one more panelist. She has come in. Okay, it is informed that she will join in the middle of the session. Her name is Ms. Beni Chugh. She is the lead digital finance vertical, Future Finance Initiative of Dvara Research. She works closely with regulators, self-regulatory organizations, and fintech providers to enhance consumer protection and quality of digital financial inclusion in India. She will join us. She's stuck in the traffic. So now let us start with the questions to our lead panelist. Fintech thrives on data. So let me begin with a broad question. How do each of you see the unique value of the data you work with, whether it is a survey-based or real-time fintech data? Mr. Balachandran, please.
So good morning. Great to be here at this vibrant GFF conference. I would like to record my gratitude to the organizers as well as MoSPI for inviting me for this session. A very topical, very germane session that we are having on how industry survey data is of use in the evolving fintech system. Now, if I step back and look at IRIS, the company I head, we do multiple things. We are a regulatory technology company, but we do have a business called IRIS Data Tech, where our endeavor is to build an MSME ecosystem which can help the MSME to move into the digital, formalize the digital, journey so that they can partake the lending system and get better rates and be part of the formal ecosystem. We are a GSP as well as an invoice registry portal as well as a company. So if I look at what we are trying to do, it is on two counts. One is, of course, bring the MSME into the formal lending ecosystem, number one, which I mentioned. Second is also enable a e-marketplace using which the MSME can sell their wares so they're discoverable on the digital platform. These are the two aspects we are looking at, which is very important in the context of the discussion we are having. Now, before I move into the survey kind of data itself, let me just look at the landscape that we have right now. If we look at the country, and if you look at enterprises, of course, I should say that we are talking about enterprise-specific information. And here, from a fintech point of view, if you look at it, you have the public limited companies, which are about, let's say the latest MCA data is about 18 lakh. I would say it could be maybe a little less than that. You have the LLPs, which is about 3 lakh crore. So both come under the MCA rubric. So the data, at least theoretically, you can access the financial data from the MCA portal based on whether you pay or you can access through through the screens to some extent. This is one part. Okay. The other part is you have this data which is with the GSTN, because if you are registered as a GST taxpayer, then you have the GSTN data. That is not firm specific, that is the GSTN level, and GSTNs sort of roll up to the PAN level. So that's about 1.5 crore. I'm giving you some landscape of the data. Then you have the Udyam data. The Udyam data is also available. That is separately managed by the MSME ministry. And that is about, say, about 6.3 or 6.5 crore data. There could be duplication as well, but broadly that's it. Outside that, you have this phenomenal data which is now coming out of the unincorporated enterprise survey conducted by MoSPI, which is about 7.3 crore enterprises are covered. Okay, so this is the kind of stack that we are looking at. Now, from a fintech marketplace point of view, which is what we are trying to do, we have the IRIS MSME. We are trying to bring in lenders so they can get access to digital data of MSMEs, and they can therefore, lending and other, other services can be provided. If you look from that point of view. Of course, you have the financial data coming out of MCA if you are incorporated enterprise or a LLP. Then you have the GSTN data, which is very important, which is transactional data you can get with consent, or public data with the basic payment or the compliance data available if you are a tax registrant with a GSTN number. But what about the large swath of enterprises which are falling outside that? How do you get information about them? How are you able to build a profile of these enterprises so they can start their journey in the formal lending ecosystem or similar financial inclusive activity? So here is where this kind of surrounding data which is coming out of this survey is very, very important. So here the survey is pan-India. It gives you information with respect to, of course, macro information, not, enterprise specific, but still very geographic specific information about geographies, nature of activities. It talks about, the employment. It talks about the digital penetration. It talks about, the kind of loans you have taken. And there is a wealth of information, which is, I would say, a bedrock on which we can build the next layer of financial inclusion. So with this initial remarks, I'll pass it back to the moderator.
Yeah, Mr. Rakesh.
A very good morning to all of you, and I'm completely grateful to MoSPI for this invitation. So coming back to the question part of it and what Mr. Balachandran mentioned, he already gave you a complete landscape of what data today exists in terms of formal methodologies with various data sets across ministries, across data sets that are being used. Let me come back to you from a perspective of what Protean represents, and therefore the importance of the data sets and also the further surveys and the integrations that can benefit the entire ecosystem. So Protean is nearly a 3-decade-old organization who's been instrumental in building large-scale DPI, digital public infrastructure projects for the countries, specifically for the citizen centricity part of it. The guardrails that we have built started from the taxation modernization, which is from the paper to the digitization of it. From there to the social security network part of it, and the examples that I'm building on is because of it generates huge amount of data. And coming back to the question of usage or the leverage of the data, we are very stronghold data processors. Therefore, there's a lot of regulations that come in terms of how the data could actually be used or not used. We also work on the foundational ID, right from the first Aadhaar that were issued for the country. We were the first agency to actually work with 12 crores of first Aadhaars that were issued and processed, and nearly 70% of the PAN cards, which is the foundational ID from the financial ecosystem perspective, has been built through our ecosystems. Now, if I were to use these data sets and further other on the security system, nearly 98% of the social security landscape goes through our systems as data processors, and the surveys that get conducted, which is bringing a lot of demographic information. So these two data sets, one which is available but could be used basis consent and basis the validations that individual departments provide. Couple that with the kind of service on the ground that comes in. Because there is a digital part of it where the information is available. However, the household information, how the price distribution is happening, how, for example, one of the reports on the agri, which has been conducted, which gets in terms of the land records, the yield, the produce, all of these coupled together can give us a wonderful model in terms of ensuring the divide gets reduced from, for example, from a digital lending perspective. So how could a digital lender use these two models and institutionalize within their frameworks to build products which can help an underbanked, under-digitized economy and the users from that part of the world. So this is one such usage that will come in. And like today, Udyam has a huge amount of database. But if you look at the MSME part of it, Udyam will not be able to provide how many of them are actually live and transacting. Now that built over the guardrails of so we are also a GSP and a GVS, that built on the guardrails of what kind of transactions are getting done with consents and with the frameworks. It can build a layer which can help to know the financial providence of those set of organizations also and the demographics as well. So all of these data, which has a huge leverage, if used in a modular way, can bring a lot of efficiencies and efficacy in the build-up of the solutions that we as a nation can cater to.
Thank you, Mr. Soumya Chakraborty.
Hi, very good morning to all of you. It's indeed a pleasure and an honor to be here among the industry experts, the innovators, and the ecosystem builders of fintech. You are the people who are driving this fintech growth in India, and it's really indeed a pleasure for us to reach out to you through this panel discussion. So I basically belong to the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and I will just briefly tell you what what a kind of work we do. Many of you probably know, but still I think it's my duty to tell you what we do. We at MoSPI, we are the central hub of official data. Please, join. You're welcome, ma'am. So I stop.
Welcome, madam. We have initiated this introduction, and Mr. Chakraborty is giving the government perspective.
So we try to, basically we capture the vision of country's vision of Viksit Bharat through various statistical products that cover every sector of the economy and every dimension of the economy through our flagship surveys that I will be talking about later, and through many macro level indicators, high frequency indicators like CPI, IIP, GDP. Then we do the SDG monitoring. We bring out data on climate, environment, and energy. So in a way, we provide a 360-degree statistical lens to see our economy, to capture our economy in a very official manner, in a manner which is accepted internationally. And we also collaborate with various international organizations like ILO, IMF, World Bank, UN organizations, and our data are used for for preparing the global indices. They feed into their publications. So that way, we are at the global standard at MoSPI. So I stop here, and I will be talking about the surveys when the question comes from the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty. Ms. Beni, we were discussing about in broad sense, how the value, how do you see the value of the data you work with? Can you please share your observations, please?
Good morning, everybody. Am I audible at the back? Thank you. I'm Beni Chugh. I head the digital finance practice at Dvara Research. My day job includes thinking about digital financial inclusion in terms of quality and access and usage. I work closely with regulators, with SROs, and with providers in the service of this mission. So to your point, I think I'll be out of place to tell just how important the NSSO's work is. I think we don't need to hear it from me. But in terms of what I really want to highlight is when we speak to smaller institutions, when we speak to regional banks, we understand that access to data is a huge problem. And I think it is only through public goods and high quality services like NSSO that gap is being bridged currently. We understand that the NSSO's consumption expenditure surveys, the formal, informal, the time use, and even the latest ones on, I want to say, climate and weather change, have been very, very important for scenario for scenario planning, but also for fintechs to build simulations. And I think that is just one part of the story. What really does happen with NSSO is, like Sir said, it is systematic, it is complete, and a lot of data prowess that usually goes in just structuring data and making it useful for the formats that people need it in. That kind of workload is really reduced, which helps inclusion in the way that it allows institutions with lesser computing power and with lesser data scales to kind of leapfrog in some sense. So I think that is really the power of NSSO data.
Thank you. No, Mr. Chakraborty, official statistics is built on robust surveys and national data sets, which provides credibility and coverage, and it is produced through rigorous surveys. From your experience in the enterprise surveys, can you bring in some insights from the national surveys? For example, from the household consumption expenditure survey or enterprise surveys, how the fintech companies can utilize this data in designing their financial products? Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Rao. I think before I talk about the surveys, a couple of observations just to set the context. Because as we understand that the fintech in India is reshaping the entire foundation of financial inclusion, economic participation, and innovation-led growth. So it's very important to understand that in a country like India with its scale, diversity, and digital ambition, this is nothing less than a transformational opportunity to all of us. So how to leverage technology and data to take it further forward, that we are discussing today in this panel discussion. I will talk about the government data part, the survey that we carry out, and what kind of data that you can expect from us, how you can use that data in shaping your next generation products that will not only be inclusive but also will be responsive to the aspiration of the households and the enterprises of the country. So to start with, I will talk first about the first flagship survey of MoSPI, that Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. So what does that survey cover? The survey covers around 2.6 lakh households. We go to them and we try to capture data, their household expenditure, the consumption, on many goods and services, food, non-food, within food, pulses, cereals, and then protein foods and processed foods. There are a long list. And then within non-food, we have again a long list. So we captured that information, and how that translates into some insight, that if we observe the pattern from the latest data, then we are seeing there is a decrease in the food share, and there is an increase in the non-food share of expenditure. That means people are spending more on other things like education, healthcare, insurance, entertainment, rent, durables. So these are the places where in each of these, fintech can fit in. They can serve each of the sector. They can fulfill the aspiration of Indian households by chipping in, by customizing their products for this huge sector, household sector. And we also give this data at a granular level. We give region-wise, sector-wise, we give social group-wise, so that you can really analyze this data. And it's a huge set of data. We also give micro data. Of course, it is anonymized, but you get the household level information so that you can do a kind of household profiling from that data. Then coming from household survey, if I talk about the enterprise surveys, we conduct two very big enterprise surveys. One is annual survey of industry that we have been doing for the last more than 6 decades, and that covers the organized manufacturing sector. And the other one is the annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises. Most of these enterprises you will not find in the government dashboard or portals. They are basically household enterprises. Suppose I am preparing, I am a bead maker, or I am a custom tailor working from my household. Probably I am not registered in any of the portals or in the dashboard. I am not even physically present. So you cannot probably trace me unless you go, you do a kind of survey that we do. We go from one household to another and list out all the enterprises that are present inside the household. Or suppose a person who is doing a mobile vegetable vendor, you can't probably trace them if you go to a particular person, because he's not in a particular place on a particular day. Every day he is not there. So that kind of information we are capturing through this survey of ASUS, and we reach out to around 5 lakh such establishments. And as Mr. Bala was telling, that it is 7.3 crore establishments we have in India that from the last data we had. It employed around 12 crores of population, Indian population. And please understand that these Indian population that are employed here, not all of them are skilled. It is absorbing even the unskilled or semi-skilled persons also in this sector. In this survey, we are also capturing the profile of the owner, because most of these are proprietary establishments. We are capturing the profile of the owner. We are capturing the scale of their operation. We are capturing the employment they generate. And we are also capturing the assets they own or the assets they hire and the loan they have on their book. So if I mention an interesting fact from this data, last year's data, only 10.6% of these enterprises reported a loan on their book. And among them, only 6.5% had access to an institutional loan. So that itself shows you that the market that you have, the market you can cater to. And then we also found interestingly that the establishments which had loan were more efficient in terms of gross value added. So if we can properly target them, we can cater to these entire gamut of enterprises who are not in any dashboard or in the portal, then we can probably push, there will be a big push in our GDP also, because their efficiency will go up as the data suggests, and it actually reflects in our GDP contribution. Then if we shift from market insight, if we shift to the digital preparedness of the country, we conducted one modular survey, comprehensive modular survey on telecommunication this year from January to March 2025. And some of the results that came out from the survey is really noteworthy. I'll just mention a few results from there. That it shows that among the Indian youth aged between 15 and 29, 97% used a mobile phone. More than 96% of the urban households and 93% of the rural households had a mobile phone. Around 90% of the more than 90% of the urban household used internet, and the percentage is no less in rural sector as well. It is more than 83%. 69% of the Indian youth used internet banking and UPIs. So it shows that we are already a digital ready country with our built on a JAM Trinity. We have already built up a digital infrastructure. Now it is important to convert this digital community to empower them digitally through various fintech products. So if we can triangulate this data, this survey data with the transactional data that we were talking, then we can probably really get insight about which sector we should target, what kind of product they require, and how to cater to this huge set of households and industries. So, and we have many other surveys like periodic labor force survey, which tells us about the employment and unemployment rate, the labor force participation, where the laborers are going, which sector is absorbing most number of persons. We have time use survey, and we have many other surveys. In fact, it will take an entire probably date if I talk about the surveys and the data we produce. So I'll just request you, if you have time, we have a stall here in the Pavilion X22. Kindly visit our stall and see what kind of data we produce, what kind of analytics we give. So I thank you and I stop here.
Thank you, Mr. Chakraborty. To Mr. Balakrishnan and Rakesh, the fintech companies generate massive volumes of real-time consumer data. Yet, there are, in these data sets, there may be some blind spots. Can you please enlighten us?
So a very interesting question. And in fact, during the initial part, I did cover some part of it. So the blind sets, data sets are a critical piece in the whole component. Today, in the MSME segment, for example, you just spoke about, there is nearly 2.7 million data sets which are truncated data sets where some agencies have looked at it and they know what are the financial records and how they're performing. But if you were to look at actual data, which is huge, it's beyond 7 crores actually. And the way India as an economy and country we are progressing, if we were to look at and follow what's happening in US and maybe China more relevant in terms of the set of population and how the MSME industries have been evolving, this would be nearly 7x of what exists today within the next 3 to 4 years. So with this aspect coming in, the availability of finance becomes very important for this element. However, banks today largely are unable to finance those needs because of the data blindness. Now, while the digital footprints are available for some of them, for many of them, those digital footprints are not available. And this also can happen in a big way with the household surveys that are being done. Now, these household surveys and the demographics, the way it could cover from a region to region, and of course, like we all know and agree that our country has a wide diaspora. And in terms of the resources also, the spread of the resources is very, very divergent. So with this data, which is available on the digital rails, plus example, today the telecommunication penetration in the country is nearly 98%. So if these two data sets, along with some of the data sets which is Aadhaar integration is deep, and today it is increasing. So nearly 98 to 99% of the population is having some kind of foundational ID today. Either it could be Aadhaar, it could be PAN, which could be reintegrated. So if these three components could come together, the blind data spots that exist today, which is very huge, because somebody who's offering a loan at around 7-8%, versus the loan being taken by them for their financial needs at around 17-18%, and the lending institutions being financially very stable while doing that, including the collection parts and all the other end-to-end journeys that get created. These elements, when they come in light of the current issues, could solve these kind of problems in a very differentiated way. Therefore, the data blind spots, which is the non-digital footprint, the underbanked, under-digitized, and also for the people and the organizations on the MSME sides who are having the bank accounts, but their transactions are limited. Because of those limited transactions, what happens is their cost to maintain that account in the bank increases. And therefore, those iterations becomes a little different versus a non-solicited methodologies. Now, with these surveys included in that, which can give us a price, consumption, demographics at a metadata level also, included with these kind of foundational rails on the digitization, which our country is already, in fact, our country is one amongst the top on the digital public infrastructure. If we move those two things together, then there is a very strong solutioning that we could do and bring out for the entire demographics part of it, which of course is an integral part, both in terms of what the survey is being conducted and that information being fed into these kind of models.
Thank you, Mr. Rakesh. Mr. Balachandran, you are.
So I think the key word is triangulation, which Mr. Chakraborty also mentioned. Because are there blind spots? Of course there are blind spots. And I think one can safely say that there's a large segment of population which is still not really served by the fintech community. I would say segment of the MSME population which is not served by the fintech community. This is very clear. Because if you look at a typical fintech operation or fintech platform like Iris, which enables lenders to come and lend to MSMEs, what you see is people look at data which is in the public domain, be financial data if you are an incorporated company, or they look at the GST returns and look at the tax transaction data and try to get a feel of the company's financial performance, financial standing. Or you look at, if suppose both are not there, you might look at income tax data of the particular proprietor, if that is available, look at the income tax returns, of course with consent. But if suppose these things are not there, then what do you do? So then the question of how do you reach out to that segment of population becomes so important. So that's where this kind of survey data becomes so critical, because then you can profile the appropriate micro cluster so that in this cluster, these are the characteristics and these kind of products could work there. So you can profile, you can benchmark, you can design an outreach strategy so that you can go with the appropriate product to those kind of clusters. And from that point of view, surveys are very important. And if you go to the appropriate cluster, get information, look at the surrounding data, which again was mentioned in terms of the telecom penetration, the kind of consumption they have, look at data proxies, and from there build the profile of the potential customer. who could be a small proprietor running a food stall, could be a tailor, or could be doing some sort of service business, and might not be even a taxpayer, may not be a tax filer, but you have the ability to target, because one of the fundamental issues which lenders could be facing, we are not a lender but we do interact with lenders, is the cost of access. How do you make that access in a much more efficient manner, so I can go and hit that particular micro market with the right product, so I'm able to get my yields in a much better way than I'm currently doing. There, the question of how do you triangulate the macro data, how do you profile it, along with the micro data, which is anyway available with the fintech, which is limited. The micro data is limited to what is there in the public domain, plus what is there on your platform. Over and above that, you can't do much. So if you want to expand, you need to triangulate, you need to get a bigger ecosystem in place from where you again start drilling downwards. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Mr. Balachandran. Ms. Beni, fintech are increasingly using the open source data. How they are currently benefiting from the NSSO data sets, and what could we do to make this data more accessible, more granular, and interoperable?
Thank you. I suppose I covered the first part in my opening comments as to how it is already useful. It is useful for discovering markets. It is useful for discovering new opportunities. NSSO data is also being used to develop early warning signs, to develop a sense of over-indebtedness, for instance, in lending. It gives us social group-wise data, so we are able to understand the penetration of debt in women versus other social groups, for instance. There's also a lot of NSSO data on time use that tells us, exactly the kind of texture that we need to add to our fintech products to make it more socially relevant, to make it more personally relevant. So I think all of that is like a game changer already. Someone told me yesterday that they may have the best investor deck, but the investor would still say, what does the NSSO data say? So I think there's no kind of getting across rooms without NSSO data. To the point of what is next for us, I think that's a huge, I wouldn't say untapped opportunity, but definitely like a huge opportunity with all the kind of technological advances that are available to us. I suppose the first thing and I'm not a data expert, so I'm really saying this more out of curiosity, like a student would, and I'd really like the panelists to weigh in. But one thought that we've been thinking of internally is it possible for NSSO to kind of use their prowess to build synthetic data sets? This is not for actual analysis, but for training of fintechs. I say this because most of us have, I think, pored over the recently released report of the RBI on free AI, and there we understand about 50% of the fintechs that were interviewed by the RBI departments actually said that they do not have the confidence to go ahead with AI because of sparse data, right? And another about, I want to say 17 or 20%, the numbers are skipping me right now, but about that proportion said that they do not have a lot of faith in the quality of data that is available. And I think that when we think of credibility, when we think of quality, we do think of NSSO. Also that data collection at the level at which NSSO does, metadata collection is, and for as far as the economist in me can see, will always remain a market failure. It is never going to be lucrative enough for a private enterprise to do this because of the sheer scale and the sheer kind of command over data that this requires, the fieldwork that it requires, the rigor that it requires. And even if it were to happen privately, the end product would be so expensive that it would ultimately be useless because a lot of people would not be able to access, right? So I think there is this need to kind of build synthetic data sets if the statisticians think that's a good way to go. What that synthetic data set will also help is perhaps kind of aid in nowcasting. We see nowcasting being very, very useful on the weather side of things, but we also think there is a lot of scope for nowcasting in economic parameters. So you could literally run a simulation that what would happen if state A, district B in state A kind of suffered a flood, or for some reason their delinquency rose up by 10%, how would my portfolio get affected at a fintech level? But how would the insurance demand get increased for a fintech that's looking at insurance level? So I think when we start building these synthetic data sets, we also open up this opportunity for nowcasting. What it also does is that NSSO data is collected with a certain rigor. We've had the opportunity to speak with field staff. We know the immaculate pain that goes in, but that also means that the data is released after a slight lag, which is kind of indispensable if you have to do all the checks and balances that NSSO does. But nowcasting and simulation and synthetic data sets can actually make it slightly forward-looking, and I think that would be kind of a huge benefit to the industry. I'll stop here.
Thank you. One of the
To add
themes.
one point, of course, very relevant in terms of the surveys and the rigor that you build around. This could also be used in terms of the benefit schemes that the government provides, and also the CSR or the agri initiatives that we participate in. From the perspective of the reports, clubbed with one of the examples that she gave in terms of environmental aspects of it, these two clubbed together can provide a very differentiated advantage to the initiatives, both in terms of the benefit schemes reaching to the right person, of course, lending, fintech part included, but beyond that also, it is very, very useful and can provide a very differentiated rigor.
Thank you, Rakesh. One of the theme of the GFF' 2025 is augmented intelligence. In short, we are running out of time now. What could be the meaningful collaboration between the fintech data company, the data generated by fintech companies, and the official statistics system? I would request the panelists to highlight on this issue. Mr. Balachandran?
I think there are clear complementarities, there's no doubt about that. Whether you want to design a credit policy as a fintech, you want to craft the right product, appropriate product for the micro market, or if you want to have a very effective outreach campaign, all this initiatives needs the kind of macro data or micro data at the geography, at the pin code district level, which the service provide. So the augmented intelligence to have this kind of effective fintech outreach really gets enhanced by this kind of data. There is no doubt about that. We need to have access. We need to start dovetailing into the platforms.
Thank you. Ms. Beni?
Thank you. Again, I say this with the knowledge of a novice, but quite often we hear that, is there a possibility to build an environment which the fintech could literally just walk into and play around? I know that NSSO data is downloadable. It is the biggest public asset that we have currently. But what we then assume is that the user on the other side has the prowess to make use of that data. But that's necessarily not the case. I don't know if it is for NSSO or if it is to partner. I think the RBI committee, for instance, says that how can we build data infrastructure? And I don't know the exact role that NSSO can play, but I think there is definitely a seat at that table if we can think of providing environments where people can have models to play around with, where dashboards are available, where with minimum or with using, agentic AI, Gen AI, people are able to query all of that database to get some initial gleans of the data and initial correlations that may help, I want to say, especially the rural, regional banks and that segment of financial institutions, which is also in some sense the front soldier, front footman of inclusion in India.
Thank you. You answered my next question on AI. Mr. Rakesh, can you please highlight what could be the meaningful collaboration?
So the collaboration, of course, depend on the ecosystem and what industry wants to bring in, what government wants to pursue with. Let me give one of the examples. Today, healthcare could be one element where fintechs, and now I'm talking about ecosystem, so therefore bringing one or two different industry perspectives. So healthcare could be integrated with this enormous amount of data that is getting from the survey. It could be as simple as medicines which are becoming available in a rural environment. Are those medicines available at the MRP? Or they're overpriced? That could be one use case, and how does that integrate into the healthcare ecosystem? For example, in Maharashtra, we had taken initiatives of Apla Davakhana. So what we are doing is we are digitizing the entire Apla Davakhanas, which is going in terms of the rural hinterlands of Maharashtra. What it does bring is in terms of the elements of the diseases and how the individuals are going through. Again, let me give you an example. Today, if diabetes, because of the lifestyle, has come in, and a lot of people are getting affected by it. But these surveys, from a perspective of elemental socio-economic conditions and also the behavioral patterns, could bring in from a healthcare perspective and bring in the AI components where it could be in a predicted model come in, and therefore the healthcare, the insurtech organizations can become a part of the ecosystem and contribute in a big way. So these are some of the examples, and this goes in terms of education as well. So EdTech can be benefited. Then in terms of how do you reach out to the real rural environments. So while that data helps in a big way on a micro segmentation perspective also, because we have a very large distribution environment of nearly 1 million points. Now, these integrated into those 1 million point distribution centers, along with the DPI and the tech stacks that we are doing, we could solve a lot of problems, but again, it's an ecosystem. So there have to be partnerships that have to come in play. There's a public-private level partnership, then there is an industry level partnerships which can evolve further to solve a lot of challenges that today are there. And of course, the surveys are complementary to that because the models will evolve from the data points, which either are digitally available or which are the blind spots for a digital initiatives. So therefore, it becomes very, very critical. Without this complementing, the packaging will not go right, the micro-segmentation will not go right, and also in terms of the financial literacy and the usage of the data will also be a problem.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we are now only left with 4-5 minutes. The floor is open for the audience to the questions. We can, I think, we can take 2 to 3 questions. Can you please pass on the mic to him?
Yeah, please pass the mic.
Yeah, hi. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so first of all, I'd like to congratulate for the OGD platform. I think it's a phenomenal platform because I started my career as economics, so I know what kind of a struggle we had in collecting the data. I think OGD platform is doing a fabulous job. My question will be very straightforward. Are MoSPI currently using or planning to use the ML model to address the biases normally which we get and we collect the data?
We will take 1 or 2 questions and then we will try to answer. The next question, please.
My question is to Mr. Chatterjee. We have data at the household level. So I was wondering, since we have so many people, at what kind of features do we collect at the household level?
Okay. One more question. The person on the back.
Yeah, good morning. There was a mention about the statistical business register, which MoSPI is going to build. So what is the progress on that? And how different will that be from the existing data sets?
Okay, the last one.
Hi, I'm a startup founder building something for MSMEs. So my questions are, as NSSO is doing surveys household to household, if you put those on maps, that data is going to be more meaningful to me as well as to them. So is the data available on the maps? That is the question. Or if there are plans, like Bharat Maps or something.
Okay, thank you. I think all the questions are related to NSSO. Mr. Chakraborty, would you like to come? You can combine the questions. I think some of them are related also.
Yeah. Yeah, first to your question, we are trying to use AI and ML in our survey, but we are discussing before this panel discussion also that how best we can use, because when we go to a household and when we go to an enterprise which is very small in size and in scale, many times we have to ask many questions to even exert some information. Like if we go and ask him that what is your inventory last month, he or she cannot just say, but we have to somehow bring out that information from him through a lot of questions. So we are using bots to do that, but still there are a lot of scope to improve upon that. We are working on it. We are closely working with many academic institutions in challenge mode. So we hope that will bring some more technological change in our survey ecosystem. Coming to your question on household consumption expenditure survey, we are collecting data on a huge number of items that the household is consuming and what expenditure they are incurring on that. And then we tabulate that as per different social group wise, rural, urban, region wise, and also decile class of their expenditure. You can just have a look at our data. We have a good analytics in our website. If you visit our website, or you can visit our stall today itself, there our people can tell you where we can see. And it also helps to, it answers to your question. We do have representation on maps. I really do not recall whether the household consumption is there in the map, but we have different data which are shown in our map in the data analytics. You can also visit our stall where we have audio-visual to show you what exactly we are doing. And coming back to your SBR, yes, SBR is, we are in a very nascent stage because to build an SBR, we need many things. First and foremost is a unique identifier. So that we are struggling to get. But yes, probably next year we will be doing the economic census, and then that will be a, starting point for SBR. But then again, as on today, we do not have an SBR in India. Did I miss anyone?
No,
Thank you.
have covered all.
Sir, one point, since we were discussing exactly to the similar question before we started. So on the AI and the guardrails perspective, so two key elements that we were discussing, and just, with their permission, I'm bringing that out. So one is in terms of sovereign AI. So we have our booth in Pavilion 1, I8. We will be launching a sovereign AI, which is AI in a box kind of a model, because a lot of data that we have, the data sovereignty is one, which is localization within the country, but also the sovereignty of the models that we build. And such amount of data on a metadata level is very important in terms of how do we bring in. So that's one, is in terms of sovereign AI. Second, in terms of the data sets, there are a lot of tools on the data sets that we can co-create and work on. What's also important today is with a lot of information data available today from the right data sources, there's the secure API elements and a federated API, which is also what we do, like I was talking about the foundational IDs, the Aadhaars, the triangulation that Mr. Balachandran talked about it. So all of this put together will get you those kind of results in terms of the noise in the data.
Thank you, Rakesh. I think thank you, panelists in the audience.
So we had
a very vibrant and
we have one last question. That.
Thank you, sir. My name is Yaduvendra. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us, and I was back to my statistics class. The question one, sir, some guidance from you, and then a question for the panel. We're seeing a lot of churn because of, like, for example, in Himachal Pradesh. So what's your guidance on more recentness of data? Because purchasing power pre-floods versus purchasing power post-floods. And the second is, from their perspective, and I think they'll probably answer, is the DPDP Act, the Digital Personal Data Privacy Act, is now enacted in the official gazette. What are the constraints that the private sector and others will have to handle?
So I think that's a very good question. That's why we are talking about triangulation, because we need a triangulation because the survey data gives you a kind of benchmark, and then you need the transactional data to work on it to give such kind of effect study, impact study. So that's what we are talking. So it's very important to, because survey data comes with a lag that she was telling, and that's why you have to top up with the transactional data that is being produced and captured by the fintechs and the regulatory bodies. there you can probably find out such kind of impact study by triangulating this two kind of data. And for the rest of the thing, I think my co-panelist can probably.
I think the recency is all about getting access to transactional data. Of course, there are limitations because maybe if you're a taxpayer, you get transaction data, and from there you may need to then further gauge how are the non-taxpayers doing in that particular microeconomy. So, but one can do analysis based on just the taxpayers itself. For example, we look at how GSTNs are increasing or coming out of the system in a particular district. That gives an idea of the economic intensity in that in that particular micro market. That's one part of the question. Second is on the Data Protection Act. I think very important development that has taken place. All of us need to be completely cognizant of that, and the right steps are being taken. Of course, the key thing is a consent mechanism. I think it's already there. It is just that the official wrapper has come in the shape of the Data Protection Act.
Let me take both of the questions in a slightly different way. So one is in terms of recency. Like I said, federated APIs could be an answer to that. One could be in terms of course, the invoicing, tax invoicing, and all of that aspect of it. But again, like we've been talking about, the digital rails are still limited. So probably around 12 to 15% of the population in the state that you mentioned because of the conditions would be there. So that's one. That integrated with the surveys. And also, for example, an agri survey which has been conducted in a big way, which talks about yields in terms of how the environment is changing, all of that. So clubbing of that could give you a certain level of recency. That's one. Coming to your second question on the DPDP Act and the consent management part of it. So while from a lot of data processing that we do, we are a very strong data processor, one of the biggest in the country. The DPDP Act and the consent management frameworks applies very strongly. The way the Act is now transforming, of course, the essence is to ensure that the ease of business happens and ease to citizens happen. Some formulations are relevant from a GDPR perspective, but if you look at the European nations and the other developed nations, GDPR in certain way did not help in the initial part of their cycle. They actually brought down and created complexity around it. So these environments are built and being envisaged to ensure that ease remains, along with data privacy. So therefore, these consent management framework, for your example, you were to give your consent, both in terms of revoking also as an availability to you, and also the different set of individuals, age groups, etc., have certain different rules and regulations to it. For example, if you're under 18, you're a student, you're dependent, etc. So all of those things are important. It is evolving, but it becomes an important guardrail towards building the ecosystem that you were asking about. It's a very detailed and very good question. Difficult to answer in a 2-minute conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we had a very meaningful and an interactive and an insightful discussion from the data producers and the data users. In this floor, I would happy to share that NSS has completed 75 years since it started doing the first household consumption expenditure survey. And we have now moved to various different aspects of the socio-economic indicators. All our data is available, unit level data is available free of cost on our website. And we have also developed a e-Sankiki portal and also an app. All this information is available in our stall. We would request all of you to go have a look and use our data, exploit our data, and which will help each of you to develop your financial products. Thank you. I think we had a meaningful session. Thank you all, and Jai Hind. Thank you.